everybody. I'm Brian Klista. I'm co-owner of the Pittsburgh Fitness Project, and this is the second in our wellness series here with PFP. And today we're going to be talking with our staff nutritionist, Alyssa Barchette, and learning a little bit about her fitness journey and how she came to be a nutritionist and how she can help you and other interesting things I don't know about her. So I just wanted to ask, what interested you in nutrition in the first place? Like, how in the world did you ever figure out that you wanted to be a nutritionist?
Right. So in high school, I did a lot of running. Like, I was pretty intense, like with my track and cross country team. My coach was pretty hard as well, and so I just kind of started realizing how important nutrition was. Because I would remember, like, after practice not having to eat anything since like lunch, which was like 11:30 a.m. and then at 3:30 I have to go for like a long run or something, and I just had no energy. And so things like that just started like really telling me that how important nutrition was just for fueling workouts. Because I've always been pretty active, I've always liked working out, and so nutrition goes right in with that, like plays a big vital role. And so also with that being said, when I came to college at Pitt, I knew Pitt, University of Pittsburgh, was more focused on like health wellness because there's so many hospitals in the area, so like medicine and that sort of stuff is really big here, and so that's always kind of interested in me. And I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist for a while, or physical therapist or physician's assistant, something like that. That's what I initially was going in for, and then I took some biology classes at Pitt my freshman year, and I really didn't like it that much. But I liked the science aspect of it. I just didn't like how you couldn't really apply it and see it like head on. So when I was a freshman, my second semester in the spring, I learned about the nutrition program that Pitt has, which is your junior and senior year, and it's a 2-year program. You have to apply to get into the program because it's in the School of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences. And I was like, it's kind of a good challenge, and then I kind of realized how much I did like nutrition. Like, I loved baking things, I loved cooking, and I loved not feeling necessarily guilty about eating food, like sweets, because I have a huge sweet tooth, and we'll probably talk about that later, but
Me too.
little things like that, just nutrition. Like, I always love watching weight loss shows for some reason. Like, My 600-Pound Life, I really loved that show. I was like the only one who actually liked that show, and like My Biggest Loser. I was just really into like seeing people's like weight loss journeys, and so like I said, I've always been, I don't know, for some reason that's always fascinated me, and I love like the ability I love how significant nutrition can change someone's life just by their eating habits, and I love helping people too. So this was kind of the perfect mixture of like the science aspect to it, which I really liked a lot, and that was something I was more gifted in. There's the science aspect, and then applying it and kind of helping people feel better about themselves. So it's kind of a long answer, but
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
So how did you end up, like, when you were in high school and you were having those issues with, running and feeling like you didn't have enough energy? I mean, did you start looking into that yourself then even and investigating, well, maybe if I eat this before my workout, and is that going to improve my performance? And
I'd say a little bit. I really noticed how much I didn't really reflect on it too much actually when I was in high school. That's more of a reflection I've had since then. So at the time, like, I love food. Like, I've always loved food, but I don't know. Like, I noticed things that I would perform better with than other foods I would eat, and then I noticed when not eating foods, I would not feel as good. And also, like, running, it's kind of almost like dancing and gymnastics. It's like your body image, it's like, at least for on the girls team, like that, it can be especially in high school when you're like that age, it can be like a very, you're very self-conscious and everything like that. So, and like there's always stories about like, anorexia and things like that with runners, because like, the less body fat you have, the faster you'll go. And so that, I always have been aware of that. I never struggled with that personally, but it's always been kind of something I was aware of, and you have to look out for, because you want to, bone development at that age is like really critical, so you don't want to like starve yourself.
Right.
So like there's a lot of like playing factors that I was always aware of it, but I wouldn't say it was something I like that didn't necessarily be like, oh, I really am into nutrition. That kind of more happened in college, I'd say, and then I was like reflecting back on high school and like these little cues and like just the thoughts I had in my head, it kind of all came together.
And since you got your degree in nutrition, how do you feel like you end up using that in your own personal life? Like, what do you do now that you have all this wealth of information? What have you changed about how you eat and how you work out and eat and stuff?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, definitely since graduating, you know, not having the stress of exams and things like that, I've become much more in tune with my body. I'd say, especially since I've been working out a lot lately, just working more, instead of running, doing more strength stuff. And I was a vegetarian for 4 years, and I kind of switched from that just because I didn't really like labeling myself a vegetarian. Just because, you know, sometimes I'm craving a burger, sometimes I'm craving like a cheesesteak, which aren't necessarily the healthiest options, but I think depriving myself of those things, like of meat, if I'm like really craving something, I think depriving myself of that is more unhealthy than actually having one every once in a while. Because it's not like I eat that every day. So,
I always ask vegetarians this question: why did you become a vegetarian? What was your motivator? So,
I watched a documentary.
I love meat.
I watched
like,
a documentary.
oh my god, I can't go without meat.
So I've never been huge on meat, like red meat. Like I don't really like. I don't know. I just have never been like super like always craving it. Like I've just never really been a huge meat eater. So that's why it was kind of easy for me to make that transition to be a vegetarian. And I watched a documentary, which, you know, that was promoting veganism, but but still, could not go vegan. But I don't know, things like that. Just yeah, I guess that's kind of why I just watched a documentary, and then I realized I didn't eat that much to begin with. But then, like literally, I think I stopped being a vegetarian like 6 months or so ago. So it wasn't even that long ago. And I eat mostly vegetarian foods. Like I eat a high vegetable diet, like plant-based foods. But then every now and then, if I'm craving a burger, I'll eat a burger. And that's like kind of one thing I've noticed since graduating is just I'm way more mindful with what I eat and how that affects me. And I know what makes my stomach upset, what makes me feel really bloated. I'm just like kind of tuning in on those things now and realizing what makes me feel good and what makes me feel bad. Just because I've had the time to really, you know, do more research on my own instead of, you know, having all these assignments, which was, yeah, like really helpful. I learned a lot more of the science stuff, but then just like being in tune with myself and realizing what makes me feel good, what makes me feel bad. And I honestly think this past year has been like a total transition for me because now I know what foods make me feel good, and sometimes just like eating fried food, like I notice way more now how that doesn't make me feel good.
And that's a question I always like to ask nutritionists, like, so what are some of the things that you really like to eat that you do think makes you feel good?
Right, that makes me feel good.
Yeah, or gives you more energy, or maybe that those are different foods make you feel different ways.
Yeah, I would say I love carbohydrates, and I noticed I was like tracking kind of what I was eating just to get an idea, and I noticed I wasn't eating enough protein, and now I've really noticed that eating more protein dense foods, such as just like even like a chicken breast or cottage cheese, which I never even had until like 7 months ago, and now I randomly crave it, and it's really weird, but like cottage cheese, like the protein fills me up more.
Yeah.
And so I also noticed that higher fiber foods, like vegetables don't really fill me up if I'm eating like a whole wheat pasta with it. I need to eat something like with the vegetables. Yeah, something like either has some fat content in like healthy fats like an avocado, or like some kind of protein like hard-boiled egg, chicken, like chicken sausage, something like that. That will fill me up more, and I feel well. I feel really good because just eating cereal won't last me till like lunch. Like I get hungry pretty fast.
Quickly. What about like what would you say is like a good, for you, what have you found as like a good high energy food, so to speak? There's something that kind of like if you need to work out or something, what do you think?
I typically go for like some kind of like protein bar, just because it's easy. I mean, I have a 9 to 5 job, so, and I typically work out before, like after I get done work, before I go home, and so something that's easy, because I mean we're all on short on time, so like a bar, high protein, like lower in sugar, lower in added sugars. Something like a Lara bar or like a Go Macro bar. Those are always really good options, at least for me, because it fills me up. Because I don't like working out on an empty stomach,
Sure.
because then I feel lethargic and don't have a good workout. Or even something like an orange. But orange, that won't fill me up as much as like a bar, just because it has some protein to it.
Sure.
And like, yeah.
Now you said you have a sweet tooth,
I do.
and I also have a sweet tooth. I love sweets, so that's the problem sometimes. So, like, what substitutes have you found that kind of satisfy your sweet tooth? Or, I mean, I guess, like, I love chocolate, so
Right.
you know,
love
there are some
chocolate,
health
too.
benefits to chocolate, you know. But what are some of your like favorite sweet substitutes that you can kind of satisfy your sweet tooth, but not have
Right.
like all the junk necessarily?
Yeah. So I think one thing I've noticed is just adding cinnamon to whatever you're eating gives things typically a sweeter taste, and it's not added with sugar, and it's actually really good for you. Cinnamon, it kind of levels out your blood glucose levels, which that's the science side of it. But yeah, adding cinnamon to things. But I also love baking, and so I kind of incorporate. Probably one of my favorite things to do, honestly, is just making like healthy versions of like sweet desserts and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So I love banana bread, but using like whole wheat flour instead of just regular flour, and that way it's going to be more filling because it has more fiber and things like that. And then adding oats, so it also gives it more of a filling, like kind of like will last you a little bit longer. So yeah, recipe development, like experimenting with making like foods that are still like sweet and using like only you've noticed like if you eat less sweet foods,
Yeah.
things taste sweeter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I have noticed that. I was actually a client of Alyssa's for a while, just trying to get my diet, improved as I age, and I found if I eat more fruit, then if I don't even crave like the sweeter, junkier snacks, or if I taste them, or like it tastes disgusting because it's like this is way too sweet,
right.
and the fruits taste better. They taste sweet enough.
Yeah.
It's just getting into that habit.
Yeah, exactly. And like I used to love candy, and I just don't even crave it as much anymore, which I never thought I'd say that. I love chocolate too, and dark chocolate, that's something I can eat. Like it's all about portion control at the end of the day, but like dark chocolate, there are a lot of antioxidants in dark chocolate, so having that
It's
with
healthy.
like a little bit of peanut butter, like that's like a
that's
real,
awesome.
because chocolate and peanut butter is literally my favorite thing in the world. Can never go wrong. So actually one thing I made is like these like like Reese's eggs.
Yeah.
So I've made my own version of them, which is just like peanut butter, coconut flour, a little bit of maple syrup, and I use natural peanut butter, which is just like literally the only two ingredients are sea salt and peanuts. So it's not added sugar like a Jif or Skippy. They tend to have added sugar in them. And so just adding coconut flour, natural peanut butter, maple syrup, and like collagen peptides, which is actually protein, like it's just adding more protein. Rolling those up in balls and then dunking them in like dark chocolate.
Oh wow.
And like you can make them like little balls, and like they really do satisfy your sweet tooth. It's like a Reese's egg, but a healthier version. So that's just an example of something.
If you ever make any, you can bring them in.
Yes.
That's okay.
So yeah, like things like that, because you're getting protein, and then it's like it's a sweet treat, but it's not like something that will upset your stomach with like all these artificial preservatives and things like that.
So you're talking about these recipes. Do you have like a favorite go-to website or something that you like to look things up on?
Yeah, so I follow a lot of like health people on Instagram, like health wellness focused people on Instagram, and so through that I found a lot of good websites that, because most of them have blogs that have a lot of good, really healthy recipes, like just real food, not artificial crap, and also just creative, and they taste really good. So one of them is Kate's Plate. She's really good. She's a new mom, so she's like of course like short on time. Like her website is all about meal planning. She has a lot of meal prepping ideas, a lot of meal planning ideas, a lot of just good recipe ideas. It's really good stuff. I've tried some of her recipes. And it's just easy because she is a registered dietitian, so she has all of the nutrition knowledge behind it, and she eats what she makes. So that's a really good resource, and it's good for someone who's busy and like on the run, needs like a quick thing. She does like a lunchbox series. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, like she'll put little lunch boxes together of like different ideas you can do, you know, for lunch or for your kids. So she's super helpful. Rachel Good Eats, she's mostly on Instagram, but she has a blog and she has a lot of good recipes on there as well. And yeah, those are just, sometimes you need to be more creative. So I think that's why it's good to look on Pinterest or on certain blogs to find good recipes that maybe you never even thought of, but they're actually really healthy. And like, I think she has like a Chipotle bowl like version that she made. And so yeah, stuff like that. I always love that. And I'm open to ideas.
Cool. So a lot of, I think, when people think about going to see a nutritionist, a lot of times it's because, you know, they want guidance and changing their diet to eat healthier, but also to lose weight.
Right.
Many times. What's something that you'd say to somebody they're thinking about that? Like, why do you think your services are valuable, and what are some ways that a nutritionist helps someone sustain weight loss, not only lose weight but sustain it?
Right.
And what exactly do you do?
Right. So part of my philosophy is just, I'm not into any certain diet. I'm more into like overall lifestyle change, because if you're on like a ketogenic diet, for example, like there's nothing wrong with that. You'll lose a lot of weight quickly, but that's not something you can maintain for the rest of your life. And so my philosophy is just helping instill in people like little things in their life, because everyone's different. Everyone reacts to food differently, so that's why nutrition is a very individualized thing. You have to find out what you feel good eating, what makes you feel bad, what makes you feel bloated. Like, you have to find that all out individually, because everyone's different. So that's like the main reason why it is important, if you are struggling with something, to see a nutritionist, just because maybe they know something that you don't. Just like how food like breaks down in your body. Maybe this is why you're feeling bloated. So things like that. And like I said, lifestyle changes, trying to find little areas in your life where you could maybe make little changes at a time, like change like one or two lifestyle habits at a time, and then gradually build that up, because it's nothing drastic all at once, because that's not sustainable.
Yeah. And that's worked, I thought, for me too, like with the sweets.
Right.
Just
right.
adding like one piece of fruit a day, which doesn't sound like much, but then over time I got so used to eating a piece of fruit, I didn't really crave the other sweet stuff so much.
Right, exactly. And there's also the thing with nutrition is it's so confusing sometimes, because the media will be telling you one thing one day and then the opposite thing the next day. So just having someone who has, you know, that knowledge of what's actually true and what's not true. Of course, things are changing. Like, more science reveals more things every day. That's regardless. Nutrition is something you have to continue to educate yourself on. I can't just keep what I've learned the past 2 years and then apply that the rest of my life, because I'm sure things will change. But that's something where it's good to know someone who actually knows the science behind it, instead of just, oh, on the New York Times I read this, is that, you know, I'm going to start doing that in my life. Like, sometimes that can be dangerous, so you have to know what works good for you, works well for your lifestyle, and then is the science behind it actually true or not?
Sure. So how did you find your way to the Pittsburgh Fitness Project? I think it's kind of a funny story, because we were looking for a nutritionist for a while, but it was kind of a happenstance.
It's so random. So my boyfriend and I were at Target, and my boyfriend is a very extroverted person. And
yes,
so
he is.
he's very extroverted. He can literally talk to anybody, like, just randomly and start a conversation. So we were at Target, and I don't even know why we were there, probably just picking up some random things. And Tom and his wife Maggie were there. And
Tom's our other owner.
Yes, Tom is, yeah. And so Rob like ran into him or just started talking. I don't even know why, because I was not there when he started the conversation. I was in a different area of the store. And Rob just started talking to them, and then he found out like what Tom does. He owns Pittsburgh Fitness Project with Brian, and started like learning more about him. And then I guess Tom must have mentioned something about nutrition, and then Rob was like, oh, my girlfriend, she studied nutrition and she's looking for a job as a nutritionist. And so then we met each other at Target, and history from there. So it's pretty funny how it worked out. Totally random, but worked out perfectly.
Yeah. And what do you enjoy most about doing nutritional counseling for people?
Right. So I I just want people to feel good about themselves. Like, that's the bottom line. I'm not really too worried about a number on a scale or anything like that. I think once you start eating foods that make you feel good on the inside, you feel better on the outside. I've never really cared too much about weight specifically, just because, I mean, I'm 5'11". I weigh more than most girls just because I'm tall.
Right.
That doesn't really indicate like whether or not I'm like healthy or not. And so I think a lot of things. Also, muscle weighs way more than fat. So you might have like a higher number on the scale, even though you just work out a lot and you have a lot more muscle behind it. So just people get confused with that sort of stuff and like feel bad about the number on a scale. And like I don't want people to feel that way. I want people to feel good on the inside just by eating healthier, more real foods, and then kind of feeling better on the outside too. I just want what's best for people, and I want them to feel good about themselves at the end of the day.
Awesome.
So yeah.
So that wraps up our interview today with Alyssa. So if you have any interest in scheduling an evaluation with Alyssa here at the Pittsburgh Fitness Project, you can contact her directly at alyssa@pittsburghfitnessproject.com.
Alyssa with an I.
Oh, A-L-I-S-S-A.
Yeah.
That's a good point. A-L-I-S-S-A. Or you can contact our main number, info@pittsburghfitnessproject.com. You can also go to our website, pittsburghfitnessproject.com, and just go to the wellness section, and you can book directly with Alyssa there. So we're happy to have you here for our wellness series talk this month. We'll be back next month to talk with someone from Children's Hospital actually about their weight loss program. So we hope to see you then. Thanks.